Welcome back. So we've got a little bit of a problem. I thought I'd bring you in on it as when I do like problem solving issues like this, that seems to be something that really resonates with people, because if you think I'm driving around and everything's like going smoothly, it's definitely not. That is not what sailing's about. So let's have a look at the issue. Number one, this is at 30%. 30% for a lithium iron phosphate battery is a nice lower level to bring it down to. At about, when that reads about 20%, a couple of seconds later, the battery's going to turn off. The internal battery management system, the BMS, will close the gate and it will stop the battery from getting like damaging itself by going too low. So I've been really enjoying getting my little timer, which is over, wherever I moved it to, wherever it is, my timer. And oh man, everything's going wrong. It all goes wrong at once, right? Getting my timer, 1 hour of charging, and then it'll be at 100%, and then 5.5 hours it'll be back down at 30, and round and round and round we go. Now I have a number of layers of redundant resources here, but it's definitely non-standard compared to what'll be going on most boats. At 30% now I should just be turning on the engine, but the day tank, which is here, is very low, and I knew it was going to be because basically last night there was no wind. There should have been 30 knots. What happened is it came in and then just stopped at the western edge of the UK and didn't come up the channel at all, which it was forecast to do. So suddenly there's no wind. So I just start motoring, and I've got enough fuel on board for some motoring, but I don't have huge amounts of fuel on board. I knew that, but I was very aware of the fact that although I had used up most of what was in my rear fuel tank back there, and I'd used up most of what was in my jerry cans, I knew that there was about another 100 litres sitting in this tank underneath this floorboard. So this morning, as we approached 40% on the battery monitor here, I was like, great, I'll go and get some fuel out of that tank. Now you should know that what happens on this boat is there's a fuel tank under here, there's a fuel tank under there, and there's one more that's been added in by a previous owner at the back. Those tanks are connected by a series of pipes and valves, as you might expect, and they come through to a fuel transfer pump, which is sitting just underneath the boards on top of the engine there. The fuel transfer pump stopped working on my way to Maine, and I should have got it fixed. What I did was go and get one off of Amazon, a little drop-in one like this called a Harpy Eagle, which I was going to use to move diesel through the boat. And when I got it, I realized it's not the right product. I've ordered the wrong thing. So suddenly I was like, I should have got a fuel transfer pump, but I didn't. But it doesn't matter because I've got a manual fuel transfer pump here. I'll just use that. We've done that for, like hundreds and thousands of miles. Okay, cool. I get to see there's a split in the bellows because the boat hasn't been used. All right, okay, so we're not using the fuel transfer pump. We're not using the manual, but it's okay because I've got a drill pump, which is there hanging there, and I can use the drill pump and a lot of hose so I can go and get fuel. So already we go what I'm meant to be doing, my backup, and now we're on to like the tertiary kind of level of problem solving. I do also have other ways I can do it with pumps and all sorts of things, but it's fine. We've probably got 3 more ways of drop-in pumps and siphons, all sorts of stuff. But we're at level 3 of moving fuel around. Great. I'll get my little hose. I'll go over to this tank, which is under here. I just had a look in there now. There's no fuel in it. Okay, so that means I did not remember correctly where I put fuel, because we've been dealing with a lot of high-level stuff and forgot the detail of marking out what fuel is where. And I just had it in my mind there was 100 litres in there. There is not 100 litres in there, or I've used it some other time, or indeed it's gone across when there's been a incorrectly set up valves and it's gone to the other tank. You know what it is. What it ends up with is that we are now at about midday. The battery's starting to complain, and I've got to like find diesel on the boat. So I thought I'd take you through like what that process looks like. So firstly, what's the situation up here? It's pretty stable, right? What's the level of emergency? Like pretty low. Another little squall going over. No ships. So in terms of like situational awareness, not a massive issue. I gotta go and find fuel inside the boat. So first things first, I guess I gotta get out of deck mode and get my belt off. I don't want diesel going on the things that need to go elsewhere, so I'll get my jacket and stuff off here. Trying to work out if I can do all this with one hand. I won't be able to do all of it with one hand, but I'll just get you through the process. All right, so get a head torch. So first things first is the jerry cans. I never drain the jerry cans right to the bottom. I always leave a bit in the bottom, because it's been my experience that over time, when you get into tricky circumstances, it's very nice to go back and just find, oh, there's a litre here, there's 2 litres there. So many times you come ghosting into port with no fuel because things didn't work out the way you expected. So previous Chris, emptying the fuel out of these cans, left maybe a litre or 2 there, a litre or 2 there. This one's got about 4 or 5 litres in, and I think that one's got another 2 or 3 litres. So I worked out we've got about 8 or 9 litres here, and then inside the tank over there, I went and had a look, and although I had like finished using that tank in my mind, I went back and had a look, and there's some fuel at the bottom of that. So I'm going to get my fuel transfer hose. Now, could I have got these dregs of diesel out using the main fuel pump? No. Could I have got the dregs out using the manual pump? No, because it depends on where the pickups are in the tank. So you've always got to have some method of getting into the tanks and getting like an emergency amount out of the tanks. Wherever the tanks are on your boat, you've got to have a way of getting in there. I can remember being in Hong Kong and being on a workboat I was driving in Hong Kong, about like 45 foot long, maybe 300 horsepower Caterpillar, something that kind of thing, semi-displacement hull. And I was going into Llama Island, I think it was, and I started smelling loads of diesel. What the hell is going on here? And the cross-connecting pipe between the tanks had fractured, and basically the tanks had thrown all of the diesel into the bilge. So then I set about with a bucket, like mopping up the diesel and like decanting diesel out from what was a wet, dirty bilge and filtering it through rags and things to get it into a bucket to then take a feed directly off the engine and put the feed directly into the bucket, and then use the bucket as a kind of sump to put clean diesel into to drive the last couple of miles to get me in. So I've had experiences, and many other times, where I've like run out of diesel, hence why we leave a little bit in the tanks, why we have many redundancies on the fuel transfer. And also inside of here, we've got the 110 volt, we've got the 100 amp hour 24 volt battery, which is getting low now. We're at 28%. I've got to stop talking. But we have another completely separate suitcase battery, which that battery can be charged by a 10 amp charger from another source. And then I also have on board the All Powers S2000 solar generator, which also has power inside it. So it's like, there's 2 issues here. Number one is I need power to run the boat, so the autopilot, the lights, the electronics. It's got a bit left there. There's a bit of fuel there. There's a bit of fuel there. There's a bit of fuel in the bank. I've got a bucket, so I can pour what's in those jerry cans into here and then use this to go into the bucket directly. I've got to secure the bucket so it doesn't move around. I've got to, pardon me, look at the fact that I may have to decouple the issue of power for the boat from diesel run the engine. I can probably sail my way pretty close to the marina. If I could fill this tank from bottom to top with what I can find around the boat, about 30 litres, I'm golden for like 4 or 5 hours of motoring, but it probably won't do the charging as well. So I might let this battery get a little charge now just to get me through what's going on, and then disconnect it, put the other battery on, because the other battery I can charge from the solar generator. The other battery I can charge from my pocket generator that's in here, like a 2000 watt generator, and there's 5 litres of gasoline back there. So in terms of like power on the boat, I know this is all super non-standard, but this is like how you have to think. And I would like to tidy all this up and have, you know, it's all done a lot better. There's ways of having good redundant systems that aren't all super Heath Robinson. You don't have to be smart and non-standard and, you know, like have redundancy and it be a mess. Those things aren't all in the same Venn diagram. But in terms of what's going on here now, I'm thinking before this lot gets too low, still 28, we're doing okay, I can get a bit of diesel in the bucket, transfer it into the day tank, get the engine running, and give myself, I only need to run the engine for 15 minutes, like 2 or 3 litres, and it would have this lot back up to 60%. Then I grant myself time, and then I go around and do whatever it is I need to do to get all the remaining fuel that's on board the boat and get it in the tank, and say, that's for running the main engine. And then when this gets low again, be ready to connect onto the other, what I call my suitcase battery, and then that battery can be charged by other chemical stored energy that's on the boat, the gasoline and what's inside the solar generator. So I'm not sure exactly how this video is going to go from here, but I'm going to get on with the job. I'm going to try and film it as I go along, but I want you to understand in terms of like problem solving things, it's not that you go, oh, we have a problem, pull lever 1. Oh, we have another problem, pull lever 2. It's that you need to have like a toolbox, well literally, but figuratively, have a toolbox of things. You're like, okay, well I can do that, and then I can do this, and I can do the other. And as long as I don't cross-connect the batteries or let water go into the engine, it's all good, right? Little note I will say, whenever you're working with diesel, look, I have them like literally here. As soon as I realized I was on this system, this is not Lysol, we've talked about this before, it's just dishwashing liquid with a load of water. You just squirt it on any surfaces that may get diesel on anything that does get diesel on, and use it to clean up after diesel's been near something. You don't want loads of diesel in around the boat, slipping on things, and that's injury, and you know, technically you can get sick from diesel as well, but it's pretty unlikely. Lots of paper here, and when it's things like buckets like this, you know, you might choose this carabiner is here. It's holding up the cable for the Starlink at the moment, which needs to be running the boat. Ken, if you're watching this, but this carabiner is of a size where, having done this kind of thing previously, I can get a hold of the bucket, and then even if we get into a squall or something and everything starts to move around, whatever's my situation, I'm not going to have diesel everywhere. If I attach it to the boat and then the boat starts shaking around, it will shake the diesel on the floor. Now I've got another problem. So I'm going to get on with this. I'm going to get a bit of diesel out of there, put it in the bucket, put it in the day tank, put it in the engine. The engine will put power into the battery. We get rid of that problem, and then we start to set up for 25 minutes of looking for diesel everywhere until we get them out here, and then I'll be able to calculate, okay, how far can I motor with that, and then we'll look at how long can I run this battery, how long will the suitcase battery last, how long will the solar generator run, and if I need to do that, and ultimately how far can I get with the 110 generator. So, like this stuff, by the way, like, share and subscribe, and then we can fix all this stuff and I don't have to bloody do it. There's no point trying to get the fuel out the can with a pipe or you've got to get the fuel physically from the can. Woo, where are you going? Come back! I do love this phone. Look, I've got butterflies moving around in here as well. Look at this. See? Things aren't that bad. Okay, now I had to make up this system to be able to pull fuel. You don't just have a hose, because the hose obviously ends up with loads of diesel in it. So there's a pipe clamp on it. The end of it is totally empty. Oh no, it's not actually, it's got a bin there. So you keep an eye on what's in here, but it's unlikely to fall out because it can't suck air through. And this is an old coat hanger, plastic one that's attached to it. Otherwise, the end of the pipe curls around inside your buckets, inside your jerry cans rather, and then you can't get to the bottom of them, right? But obviously, if I get this guy and put this in here, boop, that's going to be fine. And then I'll take the pipe clamp off, which I need another hand to be able to do that. The pipe will be crushed by this. We need to uncrush it with our fingers, otherwise the drill pump will just cavitate. Okay, good. So I've got that lined up and I can see fuel moving around, so we've got to look. So then I go and get my drill and pump a bit in there and get the engine started. Alright, so we're nearly there. What are we down to? 27. Show them jeopardy. That's what you're meant to do, isn't it, with YouTube? Oh my god, is it gonna work? Yeah, it's gonna work. If this doesn't work, we'll do something else. So good thing with these drill pumps is when you start it up, start it with enthusiasm, otherwise it'll kind of like grip and try and twist. And when it does, it pulls the pipes off. Okay. The other thing now is I've got my washing up bowl. It's actually from my house. It shouldn't be on the boat. It's got paper inside. Look at where the pipes go. Up here, up here. This is probably going to leak where I've taken it off there. That's just pushed in, zip tied on. None of that's going to work properly. So get some water and soap on it to begin with. Everywhere the diesel's going to go, there'll already be soap in that place. I'm sure the drill will take this. Get it in there, okay? How do I know this stuff? Well, it's funny you should ask that. All right, I kind of don't want to do this with one hand, but I guess it's YouTube. Look, All right, she's off. See there we go. So the first problem we're solving is get the engine to start, and then we'll get the battery on its way, and we'll empty this bucket. So we're getting rid of the problem of there being an open bucket of diesel, which we created that problem, and not enough fuel in the day tank, which I created that problem, and there's not enough power in the battery, I created that problem. I'll just put you down while I sort this. Come on! Because we've got the stick on the end of it, I can get the thing nice and dry. Right, get it all out in the bucket and then get the pipe clamp back on, because otherwise siphons will occur and it all goes on the floor. Again, don't ask me how I know that. So we get our pipe clamp, stick the pipe clamp back on. So even if it doesn't show on the level here, we know that we just put about 3 or 4 litres in. Oh, hello. We put about 3 or 4 litres in, and 3 or 4 litres is enough to run this engine for an hour. I can fully recharge this battery now, even if... God, this is tricky doing all this stuff. Okay, so here, I've got a sight glass, but it's always closed off, right? I don't want to have that valve open in case this gets broken off by things flying around. So we press the button. Ooh, doesn't even show. But we know what's in there, so we can start the engine. And we can get rid of this problem. 26, we've only got a couple % left. Boobity-boo, power, not in gear. Okay. So our problems are decreasing. 37. All right, good. I want about 85 amps going in there. This battery is not a very expensive one. It's from Amazon. It was like, I think 600 bucks. Have a look at this. It's one of those adjustable throttles for the engine. Maybe go a bit more. Adjustable throttle for the engine, but it doesn't have the accuracy to be able to decide between 65 amps and 80 amps, but 85 amps will charge it in an hour. We've got about an hour's diesel. And 65 amps is going to charge it in an hour and 20, and we don't know if we've got an hour and 20 of diesel. Okay, perfect. And we're able to do these sort of things because we know our equipment. Now we got to go and check up here, right? Okay. We're not driving, the engine's not in gear, we just... I think we want to jibe, really. It'd be the right sort, you've got to understand that with the ocean, like, if you get into a bit where you're tired, you've had a long night, you're running low on diesel, then you discover you haven't got any diesel in the tanks, and that the ocean's just waiting. It's just like, oh, yeah, oh, you worked it out? Okay, now we're going to have a squall, now we're going to have a load of series of massive waves, it's all going to get crazy up here, then halfway through dealing with this, the BMS will shut off. So, it looks like we've kind of taken the edge off that. So I'm going to go and have a look around and get more diesel into the tank, and then we can see what I can find on board, and using the same principle of transferring it across, we'll be able to see how much motoring we can do. Making sure, see, the engine also has got a sense of humour, and this would be the right sort of time for it to blow an impeller or something. All right, speak soon. Beautiful. It was really low. Okay, let's go and find some more diesel. Okay, the next place we're going to look is inside this tank at the back, which sits athwart ships. So I know I left some in here. Yeah. Okay, good. The thing is though that our little stick, when it goes into the tank, it's not going to be able to get any kind of an angle to get at that. So I'm going to take off this piece here, and I'll take the entire top off if I have to. The boat is heeling, which is a bit of an issue for doing this sort of stuff, but it's a benefit, it's a resource when I'm trying to tip the tank to go and do this. So if you're trying to do this and your tanks were you couldn't get to the corner, consider like heaving to or driving super flat downwind or something so you can get where you need to get. Make it come to you, right? All right. And always, if you're solo sailing, you got to have that internal timer, like a couple of minutes. With this kind of thing, I wasn't joking before. I was saying like things will add up. They'll. It's just the way it goes, right? Everything's the red flags are already there. You're not noticing. I'm having my cereal and emailing the marina and talking to Pete. I could have been doing all this stuff because I thought all I had to do was go and get a bit more fuel from that tank, because the red flag was up for how many miles? 3,000 miles. There actually wasn't any fuel in that tank. All right. Staysail's getting angry. I'll go and change the autopilot. We know that the staysail can, it's got a bit of a personality. Remember it ripped the, I was chatting to you once previously and it just ripped the guard off the light. So we want to come up 10 degrees. You see how I'm weaving around as I go through the squalls. Quite a lot of shipping here. So I just got to watch when I make that 10-degree turn now. I'm actually closing my CPA, shortening my TCPA, my closest point of approach and my time to the closest point of approach for a vessel that's behind me. Now range-wise, these are 2.5, you see down here, these are 2.5 mile rings. So he's 2, 5, 7.5, 10, 12. It's like 12 miles away, so I can't even see that ship right now, but it's going to happen soon. How long his projected 1 hour course is, he's going to overtake me. So I could probably got about, I could guess maybe 30 minutes till he overtakes me. So I can go here, tap on the vessel, get the name. Here we go. CPA is going to be, that's meters, that's half a mile. CPA is 1 hour actually, 1 hour. Okay, that's good. So we got a little bit more time. So in my mind, I'm thinking, where's the diesel? Is the engine running? Now what I don't want to do is have the engine running either in gear, wasting diesel, or indeed at the wrong RPM and not charging correctly. So I got 78 amps. We're already up to 44. Literally this video is almost running in real time. That's how quickly it can charge. So I'm going to go and get this slot now and take it through there and get that last diesel out of that tank. Again, whilst we're being granular and detail based, look, my little stick is in there now, but I need to get it so that it stays over at that angle in that corner. The thing I can't do is get the pump going, like get the drill going with a zip tie, which I've done before, and then come in here and then look, you know, to move this around and get it in the right position. Because what will happen, because now we're on the back side of fate here, right? It's going to try and swat us. It will try and have something on the pump go wrong, and it will spray diesel everywhere, which is bad, but you can't get diesel out of your sleeping bag and out of your pillow and put it in the engine. So whatever happens here is going to have to be the bit that's not managed, and we'll be managing the pump. So I'm going to use my pipe clamp or something to create something here that will hold it at that optimal corner angle. Our bucket's in the way, but we can just move that. We operate our drill. Here comes the life-giving blood of the boat. I don't think there's any more diesel on board after this, so after this is done, we'll have an amount in the tank we can make a guesstimate as to how many hours we can motor with that, and then we'll know, okay, we can be very low on battery power when the engine starts, because the engine will charge the battery, great, but we need to have enough power to run the boat's electronics until we get there. And that's when I'll show you the suitcase battery, as I call it, and the fact that it can be charged by other sources. I think that's a good resource to have on board. I got a 24 volt one, but you can get 12 volt ones as well. All right, I'll do this. All right, so let's have a look how much fuel we've got come the end of it then. So, yeah, we've got about maybe 18 litres here. I'm not sure how accurate these little dymo labels are, but the whole boat's at an angle, right? That's level there. So we've probably got an angle like that. We got maybe 20 litres. The other thing is that this tank starts at 4 litres here. Like, that is a very healthy 4 litres. Plus the bottom of the tank is conical shaped because it's a stripping tank. It's designed to focus water that might be in the diesel to make sure where it is exactly above the pickup, and directly below there is the Raycor filter that will then separate it out. What you don't want to have is a flat bottom tank, which then one day it gets at just the right angle and it all goes gloop, and it gets like a cup full of water down inside the Raycor, blocks it and the engine stops. So I've not shown you all this before, but let's have a look here. So this is the battery that I initially bought in Canada before I left. See, it's like in a Pelly case, and it's got connections here. What are these called? McPherson or Pearson, or there's a particular name for this kind of connection, I forget it now. We've got a charging port here. We've got, these are the battery terminals. Woo! And I have power takeoff here at 12 volts, USB-C, USB-A, and then here it's got its own independent 12 volt takeoff that you've seen there. So there's a lot of ways of getting power in and out of this battery, but the battery itself is 24 volts, which my system on this boat is 24 volts, right? So, oh yeah, it's woken up now, look at that, see? Boop. So it's got power. So inside here, let's have a see what it says on the... You maybe can't see, it's at 80%. So it has tactically discharged itself over the last week or two down to 80%, which is what lithium batteries will do. This is its charger. It's a 10 amp charger. It's very efficient. It takes it like 6 or 7 hours to get charged. Over here is my All Powers S2000, which provides AC power. So you plug this guy into here, you plug this guy into here, and that, in terms of like its capacity, it's about, let's say, like 60 amp hours, 24 volts, right? So if I try and plug in the right place here, so now what's happening here, look. So this thing is taking its own lithium battery, it's making it into AC. The AC charger is charging this guy, and this guy can power the boat. Is that convoluted? Well, a little bit, a little bit. Why would I do it this way? That is the most useful piece of equipment I have bought in the last decade, okay? Please, in the comments down below, ask me to do a review of that S2000. Its lithium battery is creating 110 volts through an inverter, which is going through here, which is converting it to 29.2 volts, which is going into this battery, which can then render 24 volts. I know there's lots of inefficiencies here. I can carry that off the boat. That will run this boat for 6 hours. It will run the entire boat for 6 hours. I can just, like this situation now, I can just drop it in and it will run this boat for 6 hours. The charger in between, yeah, whatever, you know, but those two pieces of equipment there can run this boat for at least 10 hours. 10 hours. And then if the main battery is on, then we're up to like 15 hours, and I want to have more than one lithium battery. I've only got one 100 amp 24 volt lithium battery at the moment. Then we're up to like 20 hours, and my goal is to have 3 main batteries and something like this, so I can actually run the boat without any power generation coming in for 24 hours to solve exactly these kind of issues. So what I'm going to do is going to top this guy up a little bit. I'm going to then put it in position in here in my electrical space, and I'm going to be running the boat off power on the main battery, maybe down to like 50%, and then when I get a nice flat bit, which of course there won't be any flat bits now because we've got a problem on board, I'm going to connect this battery to the boat, and then I'm going to know, okay, I've got 50% in this one, I've got 60% of a battery charge in that one. And then this guy, this can be charged off my generator. I've got 5 litres of gasoline down there. I've got a gas generator. I can have the gas generator charging, or not, I won't have to charge this guy, but I can have the gas generator running this charger, this battery running the boat, and I can have the generator at the same time recharging this. So with that 5 litres of gasoline, I can keep the whole boat going for another 24 hours with a bit of jiggery pokery. So this is clearly not like the most, we're not completely on top of it here, but can you see I brought my tools with me? I brought things that allow me to fix problems. There's my bowl and spoon from when I was earlier, like, oh yeah, let me just have a look in that fuel tank. Holy moly. So that's the kind of expose on what's going on here. I guess there might be a bit more of this story as we go along, but I'm gonna put it up now. If it gets to a point where I just cannot get there, well, I'll just pull off into one of these marinas along the way and get some diesel, and that'll be the story. But I want you to see, like, each step of it along the way, even if you're getting into like tertiary solutions, right, or whatever comes below that, there's a long way to emergency. And it's not just like throwing diesel at things and like, oh my god. We know what we've got available, and sometimes, yeah, you have to step away from your primary solution. You're on your secondary. Like I went from my primary fuel pump, transfer pump, to my manual pump. Like, no, that's got a problem, but I'm on my drill pump. I've also got one of those electric little pumps that goes directly into a jerry can and then feeds out with some AA batteries in. I've also got a manual one of those. I've also got a siphon one of those. I've also got a little stirrup pump one of those. So I can move diesel in like 5 different ways. In terms of power on the boat, I've got the main battery, I've got the suitcase battery, I've got the S2000, I've got the generator, and between them I can make a system. So I would invite you that on your boat, don't just look at it that you're trying to like make the perfect boat. You're trying to make the perfect toolbox of things that can allow you to voyage and do the things that you want to do. I hope there's something in here that's useful for you. I'll get back on with this. Looks like I got some tidying up to do in here. I just chucked everything down trying to film this with you. But if you like this stuff, please like, share and subscribe. Go over to Patreon, have a look at what's going on there. Remember, we're selling parts of our mainsail. I'm surprised it hasn't blown up and getting on the act now this is going on. But I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.